All right, welcome back. I'm not sure if we're going to show the screen today or if we're just going to film me, or if you're just going to see this view of me, because I'm going to be doing stuff that's kind of secret and that I don't want to accidentally share. So it might be just a code with me where you're just going to see this view, but maybe that's fine. I don't know. I wanted to talk about something that I have noticed, which is that I've been doing the videos on this channel for, is it like 8 months now, maybe something like that? Maybe even 9 months actually, because we're in September now. I think this is the 9th or 10th month, either way. At the start, I was noticing that I was getting a lot of comments about my reliance on these LLMs for coding. So ChatGPT, now Claude, Grok, all of the ones that you might want to use. And I remember at the start, it was a bit like, it kind of felt like, oh, I'm cheating, if that makes sense. Like, especially based on some of the comments, like a lot of the comments were like, why aren't you coding for real? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? But my whole approach to this thing is not like, I've done coding in the past. I'm not an expert by any means or by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not an expert at programming, but I've done lots of apps before, and I've worked with Flutter a lot. I've done REST APIs in Python. I've done all kinds of things. But the way that I've worked with that is a lot of Googling and basically like going to Stack Overflow, finding something that might be the thing that you're looking for, but it's in a completely different context and someone used it for something completely different. And then you kind of copy that solution, paste it in, and hope that it works. Maybe you do some tweaks to it. Or the more likely thing is where you find like this. I love how annoying this was, and I remember this so clearly, where I had an issue and I would Google it and I'd look at Stack Overflow and try to find, is there a post, has anyone else run into this issue? And there are posts where people have run into the issue, but it's just a question and then no comments. No one has replied with any solution to it. And that is one thing. And then there's also the other thing where there's like a post like that. Someone says the exact question that you have, and then underneath they comment like, I don't know, they comment that they've solved it, but they don't give you the answer to how they solved it. They just said, fixed it. And my approach to this particular app is not to learn how to code. It's not to get better at programming necessarily. It's more so that I just want to get this thing built as fast as possible. And to me, at the start, the way that I was looking at it was like, well, honestly, if I can tell ChatGPT to build a page for me and it does it in like 30 seconds, that's going to be way more efficient than me going through and like adding the container, just deciding the size of it, fitting it on the screen, making sure that it fits on all kinds of screens, and then Googling all those things. And that's just for like one button or for one part of the screen. All of that is like a lot of effort. It takes a lot of work. And if the purpose that I have is not to dive headfirst and become an expert at Flutter and become an expert at backend programming or the combination of the two, if my goal is really to get an app to production or to release, then to me, it makes sense to use whatever tool that you have available at your disposal to make that faster. And it seems like these LLMs make that a lot faster. And what I found interesting is that was my logic at the start, and I talked a little bit about that. But there was a lot of comments regarding like, why are you doing this? Why are you using that? Why are you relying on it? Why don't you just do it yourself? Or blah, blah, blah. but that's dropped off. Like there's no comments about that anymore. I don't know if that's because those people have stopped watching. That could be the case. But I also think that within those like just 10 months, I think the whole landscape looks a little bit different. It's sort of now commonly accepted that, well, we're gonna be using these tools. Like that's the future of programming. You're going to be using these tools because it doesn't make sense to not use them. For instance, like I said, spending even just 10 minutes building a button on the screen and making it look the way that you want versus typing out a prompt to ChatGPT in like 30 seconds and then waiting 30 seconds more. Like the whole thing takes a minute to get the exact button the way that you want. Like it's just not, it's hard to beat that, I think. And yeah, I'm just thinking like maybe there's programmers out there that are that good that they would just be able to write it in the same speed. I don't think, I think that's true when it comes to like a simple thing like a button. But if we increase the complexity or the number of things that you want to build for a screen, like let's say that we have a screen that has 5 different buttons and like text in different places and a bottom navigation bar, all kinds of things. Even if a programmer is really good and really fast, they're just not going to be able to beat ChatGPT, Grok, Claude, all of these. So what I think is going to happen is that it's going to become sort of like art, where some people will do digital art, and digital art is the equivalent of using ChatGPT, I think, in programming. Or maybe not exactly, because I feel like using ChatGPT in programming is a little bit soulless. You're just not, I think it works really well when you want a product out there. Like you just want to get this product out there. You have ideas for how it's going to look, but you also understand that the way that, like, I understand that I'm not a UI expert. I'm not a graphic artist. I'm not any of those things. I can make things that look half decent, but the reality is if this app actually becomes something and people start using it and it grows into something, then we're going to get a UI designer or a UI expert or a graphic designer to kind of enhance it and to make it look good. And the only purpose that I have as I'm trying to think of what you'd call that, the founder or I'm like the rough sculptor guy that just like, okay, we have this block here of marble and I'm just going to like chip away, like take away the rough pieces to make you see that, okay, that sort of looks like a human. And then we get the graphic designer in and make it look like a beautiful person. And that's how I think about the process right now. Like I know that I'm not going to be able to make it look or feel the way that maybe it should in the future. But I know I can get it to the point where people can use it. And as long as people can use it and get the value, like 80 or 90% of the value from it that the idea has. So if you can talk to people, find someone that you like, match with them, and then talk to them again, like if those features are there, then I've done my job. And it doesn't really matter how those features look, as long as they're usable and don't look completely like shit, which I don't think the app looks like right now. I don't think it looks like shit. So if I just achieve those core values or those core things, then that's all that I need to do. I just need to get it to a point where I can show this to people and like show this to potentially like investors or to users in general. Like if I am a user and I'm telling another person about this and I'm like, well, this is a really good app, then I want it to be an app that can be shown to that user where they can then kind of use it without too many bugs and like get the idea well enough to be able to then spread the word onto the next person. And for that, I don't think colors of buttons matter that much. I don't think gradients matter that much. I don't think uh, the design matters that much. I think it all matters, obviously, but the thing that matters most is just, can you do what you want in the app? And so for me to get there as fast as possible, I've figured that Claude and ChatGPT is going to be my friend. They are going to be the way that I get there the fastest. And I do think that they have been helping me a lot. Like the reason I've spent 10 months on this is that I spent 6 or 7 of those months using AWS, which sucked. And then I moved over to Supabase, and now everything since Supabase has just been great. So a lot of it is just trial and error, me figuring out, oh, is this how this works? And this, should I do that? Or should I do this? And it's not like if I was to restart today, then I think I could get the same app built in like a month. And that's also the thing I think with using these LLMs is that you think that, or I sort of understood or thought or believed at the start that yes, ChatGPT, Claude, all those tools are going to be able to help me get the stuff built faster, but they're not going to solve the harder problems. And the harder problems isn't how the front end communicates with the back end. That's not a hard problem, if that makes sense. Like it's difficult, it's hard to do maybe, and it takes a bit of time to understand how it all works. But it's not difficult, it's not hard. Like it's not a real difficult problem when it comes to building a startup. The real difficult problem is things like, well, what should happen? Like, how long should you be in a phone call? What should you be able to do in a phone call? How should it look? Like, should I see the person? Should I not see the person? What happens after the phone call? Where do I end up? Like those are problems. I'm not saying extremely difficult problems right now, but those are actually the hard problems. Like making it look that way, like making a button be in a specific place. Yes, I could code that myself. I could put the button there, but that's not a hard problem. And I feel like I want to focus as much as possible on the difficult problems and the ones where, like, how do we get users? That's a really hard problem. And that's where I think my energy is better spent, if that makes sense. So I'm sort of happy to not use much effort in the actual programming of it. Just like, for all I care, if Claude could have just built this for me and I would have had to do nothing and it could have done all of this, I would have been super happy, because I'm not here to code. I'm not here to build the specific things. I'm here to get the product out there and then try to make something of it and change things that I feel I want to change. Like if I want to have messaging in the app or not. How do I want people to be matched? Do I want to have like ELO scores like Tinder does, or do I want to take a stand against that and not have that, which is my thinking at this point. All of that stuff, that's what I want to focus on. That's what I think is more interesting and makes more sense to focus on as well. And long story short, that's what I feel like my perception of how people have how the opinions have swayed when it comes to programming with LLMs is that I think now compared to 10 months ago, now people are coming around to it and like realizing, well, okay, we're going to be using it. And it's no longer as taboo to be vibe coding with LLMs. And honestly, I think it's just going to get, I mean, if we assume there's going to be any kind of progress, even if it's just like 0.5% per 10 years, at some point, this is going to be good enough that it's just going to be perfect. Like you're just going to be able to tell it, okay, I want this page, and it will just build that page. I want you to, I want to add a call feature that uses Agora for the calling functionality, and it will just be able to set that up perfectly first try, and there won't be any errors. Like that time is going to come. I'm almost 100% certain about that, because it's almost there already. Like Claude, to me, I'm so impressed with Claude at this point, even though now I've been like stuck on something for 3 days. I think Claude has the ability to solve those things, and it's more my own error in not understanding how to explain what's happening to it properly. I think it's more up to me than Claude, the fact that I've been spending 3 days on this. And so I think we're going to end up in a place where there's going to be people that do coding for the love of writing the code, and not where they don't actually have a purpose of creating something and putting it out there. They just like the idea of programming and like, okay, I'm going to put the button over there, and then I'm going to put the button down there, and like doing everything manually. Similar to how in well, almost any area of the world, there's handcrafted versus just mass produced. And handcrafted is still a thing. Like people still like that, even though we can produce similar items at way larger scales, way faster. People still like the idea of both building or crafting it themselves, like by hand. But people also like buying stuff that's crafted by hand. I think my hypothesis here is that when it comes to apps, especially like dating apps, like I don't think I care that much if this was built in a day or 2 days or like 3 years. I don't think I, as the user, care about that stuff. I think I, as the user, really just care about, is it good? Like, does it do what I want? Do I get the thing out of it that I want? And if the developer built it with one prompt to ChatGPT, or if they spent 5 years on it, it doesn't really make any difference to me as the user, because it's not something that I'm going to really see as a user either. Maybe at some point in the future, we'll be able to notice like, okay, this is a handcrafted app versus this is a like mass-produced ChatGPT app. But that difference is going to be minute compared to like a handcrafted rocking chair versus a rocking chair from IKEA. Like those two differences are pretty big in the real in that world. But in the world of digital products and digital stuff, I think it's going to be like impossible to tell what's been built by ChatGPT versus what's been built by a person. So yeah, that's my thinking on it, and that's why I'm using it so like ruthlessly. All I want is to get this app out there as fast as possible, and the way to do that is with Claude, I think. So yeah, today we're just going to try to get that to happen. We're going to try to get the phone calls to work. which I've been doing now for a few days without success. But I hope that a solid effort today will lead to the app or to the phone calling thing working. But we'll see. right, so here's the deal, as far as I can tell. It seems like no matter how much I try, I'm not able to generate a token that Agora accepts. So no matter what I do, if I try it any other way, like generating a temporary token or using their like web service that kind of also generates tokens, all of those work. But if I try to generate my own token on Supabase, it just gets rejected. And according to Claude, this is due to the fact that Agora expects Node.js to create it, which Node.js has a specific, I don't know, HMAC or something algorithm thing that kind of creates the token. Yeah, so HMAC plus SHA-256 or SHA-256. And it seems like the way that, I don't know, I'm using Deno apparently, or Deno or something, for Supabase. And Node.js isn't available, so some of the libraries aren't exactly the same, which means that the encryption algorithms maybe are slightly different, which they shouldn't be, I feel like, because there's, I don't know why that is, but apparently there's some slight differences that makes it so that we generate a token that's not quite what Agora expects. And I don't know why, but apparently that seems to be the case. But I also had, I don't know how to do this, but I did have Sego Cloud, which is another option. They reached out to me a few weeks ago and I haven't really responded to them properly, but they reached out and wanted to sponsor me in some sort of way. So I'm thinking if I reach out to them, because I asked Claude, I was like, well, how do we use, what if I change to Sego Cloud? Because right now I haven't really responded to them because I've just been too focused on this. I just wanted to get it to work and I couldn't be bothered dealing with that stuff, like trying to negotiate a sponsorship. So I haven't really replied to them. But according to Claude, Sego Cloud uses a easier token generation, like a simpler version that's going to be very easy to create in Supabase. So that means that we don't have to, because with Agora, apparently what I would need to do is actually create a server, that a Node.js server somewhere, and host it somewhere, and then call to that server to create the token and then get back to Supabase and then get back to my app, which is like, there's too many steps there. I feel like I don't want to have, essentially right now, Supabase is my server. That's what I use, as it's my database and my server, if that makes sense. And I don't want to have to create a server somewhere. Like I have to pay for that too. So it's like, I can't just have a server for free somewhere, I don't think. Plus it's just a headache to have another website, another system, another thing to take care of. And that seems to be the only way to get this to work, because of the fact that I'm using Supabase and Supabase uses Deno or Deno. So that makes me think that maybe it's better to just switch to Sego Cloud. Like right now, we're not getting the phone calling to work at all. So we're really at step 0 here, even though we've got stuff implemented for the phone calling to work. I don't think it's that much effort to change it over to Sego Cloud. I think it might only be like one command to Claude code on the client side, and then it will change everything so that it works with Sego Cloud. And then one command to the backend Claude that I'm using to create the algorithm to create token. I hope that's going to be as easy as that. The only thing is, I know creating a deal or coming up with a deal, I really would want to be sponsored by the company that I'm using, because that would take care of a lot of the costs for me. Because right now I'm limited to the fact that I don't know how much it's going to cost to have users calling each other all the time. But if I have a sponsor, they might be able to kind of bear the grunt of that cost for me. But I can't, if I start working with SigoCloud already and like implementing it, I'm going to be in a worse negotiating position, because I've already like started to work with them for free. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to email them now and like see if they want to work with me. But I think I have to switch to SigoCloud, because at least I have to try it and see if it is easier. Because right now, like I've spent 4 days trying to get this to work now, and I still haven't gotten Agora to work. So yeah, I really think I need to switch tactics at this point. And one way to switch tactics is to switch phone calling systems. But yeah, I have to email them. But yeah, thank you for watching. I hope this was interesting. I mean, it's a bit of a different video since I couldn't show the screen, but I hope you still got something out of it. And again, I'm trying to stay as consistent as possible. Even though I can't share the screen, I can still film myself working. And maybe that will be motivational in some sort of way. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope I'll see you in the next one on Friday.